Hello, my fun bariatric care friends. We're continuing where we left off in the last episode, talking about emotional toughness. I was talking about a book I was reading to my grandsons called Emotional Toughness for Young Athletes, and relating that information to your life as a post-op. So tonight, there I go again. I'm always saying tonight. You know why? I'm looking out into a dark, dark night. I always record at night because it's when I do it. It's when I have time. Anyway, it is nighttime here. I don't know what it is when you're listening to this, but we are continuing on with the discussion from last time. We talked about mental toughness. And basically, as a bariatric patient, and if you're an athlete, or trying to be an athlete, what it means is to allow yourself failure. My goodness. Give yourself permission to fail as long as you don't beat yourself up with negative self-talk and you use that, quote, failure to learn how to prevent the same thing from happening the next time. So if you go to the grocery store and you're really hungry and you buy all the crap food, what can you do next time? What can you learn? Don't go to the grocery store hungry. Okay, simple example. But you can also use that for when you're dealing with family members who don't understand the bariatric surgery or maybe don't support it or whatever their deal is, to practice what you're going to say to them so that you don't fall apart emotionally when they comment on Regain or whatever, right? So mental toughness, getting prepared for tough situations and not expecting yourself to do this all perfectly. All right, remember, the roadblocks, the people you hang out with are going to have a big impact on how you approach your bariatric lifestyle. If you're hanging out with people who are grumbling and complaining and talking about how hard it is all the time and they're not taking it seriously and they're not following the dietitian's suggested protocol, if they're not drinking water, if they're consuming a lot of alcohol, if they're engaging in transfer addictive behaviors, those aren't the people you want to hang out with. You want to stick with the winners. So hang out with people who have the same attitude of, I'm going to make this work as you do. Make sure that's true. And then that's what, Steve Harvey had said, if 9 of your friends are broke, you'll be number 10. Your current beliefs, I can do this or I can't do this. That is a critical roadblock if you're engaging in stinking thinking. So negative friends, negative peers, negative family, all that can be a roadblock to your success, but your own thinking is critical, can be a big, big roadblock to success. So what we're going to work on in this episode are some short exercises that you can engage in that will help you have a healthier mental toughness outlook and attitude and behaviors for your bariatric care healthy lifestyle. And remember, it's beyond bariatrics. It's not just what you're eating and whether or not you're moving. This applies to every area of your life, how you communicate, what your relationships are like with yourself and with other people and with food. So it's a whole person approach. 10-minute exercises, and the author breaks these exercises down into 10-minute increments because if you're dealing with kids in the book, the mental toughness for young athletes is written for children. So we're going to look at this as a big old bonus because as you approach your bariatric healthy lifestyle, you're already inundated with so many things, from measuring the food to figuring out how much protein to figuring out how much water to get in. So as you get that stuff down and into a system and when do I take my vitamins and how much time between this one and that one and all the things, as you get all that down to a system, there are some short exercises that the author of this book suggests to help you develop this concept of mental toughness, meaning I'm going to do what I need to do to achieve what I say I want to achieve. So whether it's in sports or getting promoted at work or having a healthy relationship or maintaining your weight loss. These exercises can help you in all of those arenas. And that's why I really loved this book, because as I was reading it, I'm like, my gosh, this applies to so many more situations than just working with kids and in sports. So let's go on and we will talk about these exercises. But I want to reinforce an idea that I keep coming back to, and I had quite a discussion with a patient about this today. The concept is effort is the best indicator of interest. So you can give lip service all day long to the idea that I'm so interested in maintaining my weight loss. I'm so interested in getting out there and living life to the fullest. I'm so interested in, improving my relationships. I'm so interested in developing this better version of myself. I want to be the best me I can be. I want to learn to set boundaries. I'm interested in learning to give, speak with healthy communication. Oh, I'm interested in all these things, but you put no effort into it. So when it comes to monitoring how many grams of protein you've gotten as a post-op, oh, I'm really interested in getting in this many grams of protein, but you're not tracking your food. How do you know if you're doing it? I understand that after you get the swing of things and after you know how many grams of protein are in the different foods, you can add it up quickly in your head. But if this isn't something that's second nature to you, are you putting forth the effort to figure it out? Like, you probably have certain foods that you like more than others. Are you figuring out how much protein is in all of these things? Are you putting forth effort to eat your protein first? You say you're interested in this healthy lifestyle of a post-op. Is your effort indicating, telling the rest of the world, I really am interested? All right, so keep that in mind. Because as I go through these exercises, if some of these things are things you really are interested in developing, then taking these 10 minutes to do them is going to be worth your while. And it's going to show that you truly are interested in doing them. Now, of course, we can't do all the things all the time, every day. So listen carefully and say, you know what, this one would really benefit me. So maybe for this month, I will work on this particular skill. And I will do this 10-minute exercise 3 times this week. Whatever works for you. But let me go through these. And you might want to listen to the podcast episode again to really hone in on some of these. And then if there's an exercise you really like, you can maybe look it up on the internet and find out some more things that you can do. So maybe take a whole month. The first one is this exercise on mindset. So if you decide, you know what, I really need to work on my mindset, you can do this exercise, but you could also supplement that effort, showing your level of interest. You can supplement that by going online and looking at how do I improve my mindset in this area of my life. So let me go over the exercise that the author of this book, and again, let me just hold it up for those of you who are watching this as a video. It's Mental Toughness for Young Athletes by Moses and Troy Horne, Horne. All right, so the exercise about mindfulness, let's get into that, or mindset. And if you are a bariatric patient, you have heard, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's at your bariatric program or whether it's on Facebook, wherever, mindset is a critical part of this. Now, what I'm going to share with you right now, I did not get from this book, but it is related to sports. And I've read that a lot of professional athletes will say that 80% of their game, whatever their game is a mindset. It's head stuff. It's attitude. It's how you're looking at things, your perspective. Remember, we did a podcast episode on perspective and perception not too long ago. Good one. Listen to it. And 20% of the sporting game is physical. And yet, coaches typically spend 80% of time on the physical training and 20% of the time on the mental training. Well, as I mentioned last week, and this is from the book, Mental Toughness for Young Athletes most professional sports teams and college teams have a sports psychologist as part of their team now, which I think is great. Because if 80% of the game is mindset, you better have somebody working with your athletes on their mindset. And I don't have any statistics on this, and so I'm just going to ballpark it. But I've had a lot of patients over the last 18 years tell me that the head part of this bariatric lifestyle is a much bigger deal once you've got the physical thing worked out. So once you get I'm getting in all the water I need, I'm getting in the protein I need, I'm taking my bariatric specific vitamins, I'm doing the exercise. Once you understand all that and are working toward that, then this mindset thing, especially after that honeymoon period wears off, it's like, this is a big deal. How do I keep my attitude positive? How do I follow through with things that I don't naturally enjoy, i.e. movement, exercise? How do I make myself eat breakfast when I'm not hungry in the morning? Mindset, attitude. How do I deal with my low self-esteem when my low self-esteem is getting in the way of my following through because I don't believe I'm worth it? This all falls in that category of the mindset stuff. So here's a 10-minute exercise that the authors of this book recommend that you do. Mindset. You have to decide. It's a decision. It's a choice. And I cannot stress this enough, because if you go into this thinking, I don't know if I can do this, and I get it. I get it. Most people have a history of not following through and regaining weight. Your mindset, not only as you go into the process, but as you are a year out of surgery, 2 years out of surgery, 3 years out of surgery, it has to be, I am going to achieve my goals. I know that this maintenance is difficult. I know it requires a lot of work and effort, but I am going to. My mindset is, I will do what I have to do. Get the coaching I need, get the help I need, get the outside influence from peers and professionals. I will achieve my goals. So that has to be the mindset. Optimistic, determined, going for it. You have to decide you are going to be successful. No matter what your family says, no matter what your past self would have said, no matter how bizarre this may seem to other people who don't understand the disease of obesity. And what the author says is, no matter how crazy your dreams may sound to other people, you have to believe in your vision. You have to believe in your vision. And we have talked before about how there are two creations. The first creation of your long-term success as a bariatric patient is the vision. I see myself setting boundaries with people. I see myself out there engaging in movement that I enjoy. I see myself down the road being able to participate in XYZ that I haven't been able to do before. I see myself following through with these things that I've all traveling, or a lot of people do the jumping out of the airplane thing. Ain't going to be in my lifetime for me, but you do what you want to do, but envision it. That's the first creation. And then working yourself toward that is the second creation. So there's the creation in your mind, and then there's the creation in real time. So make your mind up. I'm going to achieve this. And don't let the detractors and the naysayers get in your way. Get away from those people. And if they're in your family, you might have to just limit some time, or set a boundary and say, I'm not going to discuss this with you. I love you, want you in my life. This topic is off limits. I won't go there with you. All right, the author of Mental Toughness also says, you have to get rid of your fears and your limiting beliefs. Did you hear that? He's talking to children. You're an adult. If we're expecting kids to do this, I know darn well you can do this. You have to get rid of your fears. What if I regain? What if I regain? What if I regain? You're walking right toward it. I choose health. I choose health. I choose health. You've got to get rid of those fears and focus on where you want to go and where you're headed. Your mindset has to be in the direction you want to go in. You have to decide. It's a choice that you're going to win. He also says, and I'm quoting from the book now, you have to decide what your goals are, and you have to believe that you can reach them. Imagine the level of belief Venus and Serena Williams, the great tennis players, had to have to believe that they were going to be the greatest tennis players who ever played the game. They didn't sit around, this is me talking now, they didn't sit around going, I don't know if I can do it. This is really hard. Oh my God, it takes so much work. I'm sure they felt that at times, but they didn't give themselves a lot of time to mire in that, to sit in that, to stew in that negativity. They trained their brains when they started down that path to say, not an option. I refuse to give in to that negative kind of thinking. You can do this. I have zero doubt that you can do this if you put your mind to it, if you choose to. You can overcome negative thinking by not allowing it, refusing to go down that path. As soon as you realize it, you shut that door. Not going there. All right, back to the quote from this book. We're talking about Venus and Serena Williams, greatest tennis players of all times. Their father, who was also their coach at a time, he'd never played tennis. He had never played tennis. These girls lived in Compton, California. I guess that's not an affluent area because the author says they had no money. Plus, all of their friends probably thought they were crazy. Belief is super important. Despite what other people think, you have to tell yourself every day that you are going to be what you want to be. Every day. So that's what the author says. I fully concur. Before you have bariatric surgery, you make a commitment. And you are so fired up and so excited, as you should be. My gosh, this disease of obesity is nothing to be taken lightly. There are so many influences that you cannot control, but there are others that you can. So of course you're excited because the surgery gives you the opportunity to finally be able to get that weight off, where maybe PCOS has hindered your ability to lose weight, or a number of other issues has gotten in the way of you being able to lose the weight. Now you have the opportunity, through the choice of having bariatric surgery, to lose the weight. Hallelujah. You have to decide that the game is not over after you lose that weight. That's when the real work starts, because that's when the surgery has done its job. And all it will do from you from then on is restrict how much food you can put into your pouch. And you know, and I know, that people can regain some to all of that weight by putting the wrong foods into their mouth, by not following what the dietitian, the surgeon, the exercise physiologist, the psychologist, by not following what has been very laid out for you. You've been told how to make this successful. So there's no question as to how it's done. Part of it is changing your mindset about what success means. It doesn't mean getting down to the average weight for a person of your height and gender. That's not what it's about. You've got a disease. Remember that. It's fighting against you every day of your life. Your disease is going to move you in the direction of regain. Your behavior and your mindset are going to be what offsets that. By following through with a healthy lifestyle and a positive mindset, you can minimize the regain. But it takes a lot of work because you're fighting a biological disease. Don't forget that. So give yourself credit and work hard on that mindset. All right, so working on the mindset, just like you were super excited before you had the surgery, and every day you made that commitment to do what needed to be done. You've got to make that commitment every day for the rest of your life. I will be successful. I will meet my goals. Not necessarily the goal weight. I'm not even talking about that. have been over that. Lots of episodes on goal weight. Listen to them. I will meet my goals of living the healthiest life that I can, given my genetics, given the fact that I have this disease. I will follow through with taking tennis lessons, speaking of tennis, or, riding a bike, or, engaging in travel, or the things you want to do with your healthier lifestyle. Mindset. The next thing that Moses and Troy Horne talk about is don't wait for everything to be perfect to start. Come on, bariatric friends. You know how often you've said, I'll start after the holidays. I'll start again after I'm off the cruise. I'll start again when I... Stop that nonsense, because all that's going to do is prevent you from getting you to where you want to be. You can go on vacation and still live a healthy lifestyle. You don't have to do it perfectly. You can do some leeway, but you don't have to fall off the cliff, figuratively. Please don't fall off the cliff, literally. But you don't have to go over the edge and say, I'm eating anything I want, anytime I want on this vacation. That is not healthy for anybody. So go on your vacation, and if you're in a certain part of the country or another country where they have specialties, try them. Try them. Sample them. Doesn't mean you've got to have that every single day of your vacation. Be reasonable. Go with the mindset that I maintain my attitude of I will succeed. Meaning, I'm not going to go off the rails with my food. Yeah, I'm going to be a little more liberal in trying things on vacation than I would be when I'm at home, but I don't have to go off the rails. So your mindset is critical. It's critical. All or nothing thinking is unhealthy thinking. You've been there. You exercise or you don't. You eat all the healthy foods or you eat all the junk foods. Not a healthy way to live, not adult. So go with a healthy mindset and don't wait for everything to be perfect to start. Just start. Do it. All right. So we got to talk before we get into this exercise about mindset, about your subconscious mind. It's really important because your subconscious mind, meaning I'm not even aware I'm thinking these things, controls everything you do. You don't realize it, but think about it. When you get in your car to drive, do you think, now let's see, which foot goes on the gas pedal here again? And how do I do this windshield wiper thing now? And which way to the blinker? You don't think that. This is all en route. It's reflexive. It's in your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind will build your confidence and help you with split-second decisions. And this is from that book. So in sports, if you've done drill after drill after drill after drill, I don't know sports very well, but I watch my grandsons practice and they do drill after drill after drill. So that when they're in the game, if they're in the field, they both play shortstop, they both play pitcher. So if the ball comes to them, they don't have to stop and go, no, wait a minute, what do I do with this thing? They know where it's going, they've done the drills, it's second nature. It's subconscious mind taking over. As a bariatric patient, you want to have that skill. You want to have the mindset skills, you want to have the behavioral skills. So if you get into a situation that can be difficult in terms of a trigger pops up, an emotional trigger, something powerful that's like, I just want food. You can go, wait, that's not what I do. That is not an option for me. Your subconscious mind says, in this situation, this is what I do. You've got to work on those things and develop them so that they're second nature, just like driving, breathing, playing sports, right? So whether you're on the basketball court or the baseball field or the tennis court or at the office party and somebody comes up to you with a plate full of hors d'oeuvres, Your subconscious mind is your storage space. And this is, again, from the book. It keeps records of every outcome, everything you've done in your life. It keeps a record of the good things, the healthy things, the bad things, the unhealthy things, and it saves that information. So the next time you're in the same situation and it happens again, you know what to do. In the book, it says it only takes one time to get burned by fire for you to know to be careful around a flame next time you see one. That's your subconscious mind at work. So true. And I quote from the book, most athletes haven't been taught to use their subconscious mind. And I am saying most bariatric patients, most humans aren't really taught to use it in clutch situations. Our subconscious mind is at work all the time because we have habits that are just rote. We just do them. But we have to learn to use them in situations that can be difficult. So most athletes haven't been taught to use this. So during high pressure in-game moments, they turn to their conscious mind. So they stop and think about it. That's what gets them in trouble. They need to know what's going on. He says this is why they fail. Have you ever tried to do moves during the game that you've never practiced? That's you turning to your conscious mind for help. You got to stop and think about it. That kid's going to be to first base before you can figure out what you're supposed to do unless you've done the drill, done the drill, done the drill. So when this happens, and sometimes it will, the cue is you need to develop this subconscious mind more. You do that by hard work. Think about this as a bariatric patient. And we'll think about it in terms of somebody saying something hurtful to you about your weight. And you're like, shattered by it. Maybe in therapy or before you go to bed at night, you can rehearse. If somebody says this to me, rather than falling apart and, feeling shameful or feeling less than, I will respond with this. Not snarky, not inappropriate, not, that's your opinion. I think I've shared this with you before, but my granddaughter, when she was in like third grade, what does that make her, 8, 7? She's on the bus, and the older kids, she might have been even younger, but anyway, the older kids were making fun of her backpack, saying it looked like a baby backpack. And I loved it. Her, excuse me, her response was, that's your opinion. That's coming from a child. Didn't faze her. She didn't go home and cry, my backpack said I'm a baby. That's your opinion. Let it roll off you. We have to practice these things in our mind so that when we're in that situation, we don't go, what do I say here? You have to practice setting boundaries with your mother-in-law who brings crap food to your house. Instead of waiting every time and go, well, I didn't know what to do. You have the response prepared, and it's second nature. You use your subconscious mind because you've rehearsed this over and over. It requires effort. Your effort to practice those things is an indicator of your interest in being able to do so. All right, so in the book, Mental Toughness, they say the subconscious mind basically controls 90%, 97% of your life. We got to get some things in that storage system so that we know what to do. Here's the catch, and this is important. And when you learn to set affirmations, this is critical. The subconscious mind hasn't got a filter. It can't tell your positive thoughts from your negative ones because our subconscious is just trying to keep us alive, right? It accepts every single thing that you feed it. So you got to be careful what you say. Everything that goes into your subconscious mind goes in without a filter. Again, this is from this book, and he says mentally tough people surround themselves with the reality that they want to see. So in other words, you have to put into your mind, into your consciousness, into your ears, only the positive. I will succeed. I will follow through. I will set healthy boundaries. I will eat protein first instead of not what you won't do. So I'm going to give you another example from Venus and Serena Williams. Richard Williams, their dad and coach, was a master at this. He says, the author says, apparently there was a book called Venus and Serena Williams, a biography. The author wrote about how their dad, Richard, would post signs around the tennis court that would remind them of these, would remind their subconscious minds of their goals. And the signs would say things like, Venus, take control of your future. Serena, learn to use more topspin on the ball, right? Positive, this is what you need to do. And so the girls kept note cards courtside with these kinds of reminders. You can do this too. I eat my protein first. Ooh. I follow through with the boundaries that I set. You can set these all over the place. Here's the rub. It's important to eliminate the word don't or even do. So in other words, you want to stay away from phrases like don't swing at low pitches. Don't give in to temptation. Don't bring unhealthy food home with you. You want to go with the affirmative because the brain is going to hear, bring unhealthy food home. So the author says, you know, you're talking to a mind that doesn't hear do or don't. What it hears is, so if you're saying, don't swing at that, your mind hears swing at that. So you want to put things in a very positive spin. I eat protein first. My home is a safe zone. I will succeed. So refrain from saying do this, don't do that. Just tell your mind what you want. I will succeed. I will maintain a healthy weight. I will exercise 4 days a week. I will. Right? So it's important to do it. So think about this. How many times do you say things like, I can't do this? Oh my God, I just can't do this. We have to eliminate those kinds of thoughts because what we're telling our mindset is, I'm doomed. I'm doomed before I even start. So to be mentally tough in terms of your weight loss, you're maintaining the weight loss, you have to be tough about the things you want to think about. This is the mindset piece. When you find yourself thinking things that don't align with where you want to be, you've got to shut that door and say, I refuse to go there. I refuse to go there. You want to tell yourself, I can do this. I will do this. I don't have to feel like it. Don't say don't, but I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter how you feel. Say, I will do this. I will follow through. I will succeed. I will get there. So you cannot entertain things like, I can't do this. I'm not cut out for that. Just telling you. So you've got to keep the mindset that of someone who is determined to win. In the book, he says, this is your life. Take it seriously and take responsibility. I say the same thing. When we're talking about a serious disease like the disease of obesity, we're talking about your life. We are talking about your health. We are talking literally about adding or taking away years from your life based on the decisions you make because you've got this disease that's going to be working against you. So the choices you make in the areas in which you do have influence, which is what you put in your mouth, what you think, whether or not you move, right, is your responsibility, is your responsibility. Some people are going to try to put doubts in your mind. You may have people who try to sabotage you in your weight loss journey. You have to set boundaries and you have to distance yourself to keep yourself prepared and focused. All right, so finally we get to the mindset exercise, and it's actually only a 5-minute exercise. And this comes straight from the book, so I'm just going to regurgitate it. It's a 5-minute subconscious mind exercise. All right, for 5 minutes every day, like at the end of the day, think about the kinds of self-talk you engaged in. Did you talk about, oh man, I blew it, or, oh, God, I really suck at parenting today, or, oh, God, that proposal I turned in was pure crap. So go through, what you said to yourself that day and tell yourself going forward, this is how I will rephrase it to something I can learn from or something I can achieve. Remove anything that has the word don't and increase what you want to see. I will talk calmly to my children. I will respond appropriately to my partner. I will put forth effort into my proposal. Whatever it is, verbalize what you want to see. Tell yourself those things. So the exercise is kind of take an inventory of your day and what you said to yourself. I'm going to give you a little reminder of something that I teach in my Gain While You Lose class, which is that researchers say we have, 60,000 thoughts a day or some ridiculous many thousands of thoughts a day, and that the vast majority of them are negative, and the vast majority are the same things we saw yesterday and the day before. So we repeat our negative selves, our negative thoughts day after day after day after day. Where the heck is that going to lead us? Think if you put effort into rephrasing those things so they are positive and move you in the direction you want to go. Now we're talking. And we do that day after day after day after day. Big difference. All right. All that about mindset. The next one is one of my absolute favorite exercises and a super important thing in bariatric world and in sports world, and it's visualization. So I'm going to give you some examples of athletes that use visualization and what it's done for them. So the Olympics. Let's talk about the Olympic athletes. Most, if not all of them, their coaches will teach them to use visualization. So remember a little bit earlier, we talked about the first creation is in the mind and the second creation of whatever, whether it's a business you plan, a proposal you're turning in, a PowerPoint you're going to create. You create it in your mind first. So you want to create this ongoing healthy lifestyle in your mind by visualizing it so that after you have all this mental rehearsal, you can put it into practice much more easily. So let's talk about Olympic athletes again. So Missy Franklin, a swimmer, she won 4 gold medals in London, said she does a replay of her visualization 1,000,000 times in her head so she doesn't have to worry about anything when the race comes. She said she solves every problem in her mind. Like, I don't know what problem a swimmer has, somebody in your, I don't know. But she practices it in her mind so that every time she steps up to the block, she knows exactly what she's going to do. There's a judo star mentioned in this book, Kayla Harrison. She has an Olympic judo title and said before she went on to win it, she was visualizing it every single night before going to bed. So what is this visualization thing? It's the exercise of seeing things in your mind before they happen. Creating, the author says, and this is great talking to kids, right? He says you create a mental YouTube video of what you want to happen before it happens. So it's a way to tell your subconscious mind what you want to happen before you step into the room, before you have a conversation with your mother, before you go to the grocery store, before you go to Thanksgiving dinner, before you go out to dinner with your friends. So it's preparing mentally so you don't have to think about it when you get there. All right, so Pele, big old football player, right? He's great. Use visualization religiously before every match. I'm going to read to you what the author says. After doing his visualization walk, so he goes for a walk around the court, he'd go to the locker room, lie down, play the game in its entirety in his mind. He would see himself scoring. He would see himself defending successfully. He would see himself as a success. Pele found this to be just as important as practicing. In fact, it was part of his practice. So more examples, and I'm going to share these with you because I think they're really, really, really important. So Michael Phelps, we know who he is, the Olympic swimmer, right? All those gold medals. He won 22, in fact, 18 of them were gold. His coach is Bob Bowman. Somebody interviewed the coach, and he talked about how Michael would say he always watched the mental tape, the visualization of his races before he would go to bed every night and again every morning. In his mind, he would visualize winning a race from the time the whistle blew to the time of the celebration. This is important. This is critical. It works. You have to realize that the subconscious mind, again, doesn't know what's real, what's taking place in real time, or what's happening in your mind. So your subconscious doesn't know if you actually swam that race or if you're thinking about swimming that race. It's important. It sees your imagination as something just as real as what we call reality. What this does, this visualization, it allows you to have success after success after success after success. And we know what happens in bariatric world. When you find yourself being successful with your daily intake of food or your daily intake of water or your meal prep or your a successful conversation with somebody where you set a boundary with them, you feel better. You feel more inspired to continue doing the things that are working. So use this visualization. I cannot tell you what a powerful skill that I believe this is, because your mind is going to record what you said, how you felt, the tone of voice, the words you used to set the boundary, or clean out your pantry at home so that you live in a safe environment. You visualize going through the store and only going on the perimeter, avoiding the places you don't want to see. You can visualize, it's not just the bariatric stuff, but you can visualize having conversations that are difficult so that you're setting boundaries, maintaining your cool, not being sarcastic. You can visualize healthy communication. There's great podcast episodes earlier in the podcast series about healthy communication. If you practice this communication every night before bed, it's going to be a piece of cake because you've already done it 1,000 times. You have to do the work. But practice the emotional or the visualizing of the practice, you get to have success after success after success. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Okay, so you can find numerous examples of using visualization in athletics, but you can also find it in all kinds of ways. I have used visualization in countless ways over my lifetime, and I'm telling you, I wholeheartedly believe in this. Albert Einstein said, imagination is everything. It's the preview of life's coming attractions. Oh my gosh. So we're previewing the healthy eating at the restaurant. We're previewing staying away from the desserts at Thanksgiving. We're previewing avoiding the candy at Valentine's Day. We preview, we practice, we rehearse conversations, and we've got it down. And there is a ton of research to substantiate this. So I'm going to share a little bit with you so you know I'm just not blowing smoke out of my rear. So there's a highly regarded sports psychologist named Richard Suen. He studied Olympic downhill skiers. So he studied their brain and muscle signals during the actual runs and their imagined runs. And he found that during their imagination practice, the brain sent electrical signals that were similar to the ones when people actually were doing the physical skiing. So the muscle reactions were also similar. So not only are you visualizing this, but your body is responding in kind. There was another study done by a renowned exercise physiologist who showed how powerful visualization could be. In his study, he asked volunteers only to imagine flexing their biceps. Don't actually flex your bicep. Imagine yourself flexing your bicep. After a few weeks of the mental exercise, the experiment participants showed a 13% increase in their overall strength. Amazing. A study at the University of Chicago had study subjects visualize shooting free throws in their head. And Michael Jordan and all these people will tell you about this imagining these free throws. After 1 month of visualizing a perfect free throw, the participants improved their shooting by 23%. They hadn't even stood on the court until then. It was just by mental rehearsal, mental rehearsal, mental rehearsal. There's study after study after study that confirms when people engage in visualization exercises, there's a response triggered by your autonomic nervous system that controls your body and regulates the body functions, even heart rate, respiratory rate. So the bottom line is, use this. Bariatric people use this skill starting now. Make this like any other exercise that you do. You've got to practice it over and over and over and over again. So if you have to have a conversation with somebody in your family to set boundaries, honey, I know you love me and you think by bringing me my favorite foods, it's an act of, that's the love language. No. When you bring me food, I feel sad and hurt because I don't feel you're listening to me when I say, this seems like you're sabotaging me. Please do not do this. So practice. You can get books that give you scripts for setting boundaries. They're amazing. Practice it over and over and over. The next activity, the next exercise is about goals. Now, we've spent quite a bit of time in bariatric care and on the podcast talking about the importance of goals. The thing about this exercise in the book Mental Toughness is that the author says to write down your goals, because if you're not writing down your goals, he says, you're not doing it right. The reason that we write down goals, we'll get into a little bit more specifics here, but because it ties the mental, the visual, to the physical. So the reasons, 3 big reasons to write down your goals. The first and most important thing is that it gives you clarity about what you want to do. You don't have to doubt what you want to achieve because you've written it down. I will drink 64 ounces of water today. I will eat protein first. I will set boundaries with my mother-in-law about bringing food. I will clean out my pantry from all junk food. So you connect what you want to do visually with what you're going to do physically. So also, we talked about the subconscious mind. So writing down the goals tells your subconscious mind that you mean business. So you write down the goals, you pass it through the logical section of the brain, which is 100% literal. I mean it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write it down. Because we got 2 sides of the brain. The right side of the brain is more of an imaginative. It's the one that's responsible for the creativity. The left side of the brain is more literal. It's responsible for your reasoning and your logical thinking, your critical thinking. So when you write down your goals, you're imagining them, you're creating them, but you are also engaging that left side of the brain. So you're much more likely to complete your goals if you write them down. Excuse me. There's also a lot of research that supports the fact that if you write them down, you're more likely to achieve them. I'll just tell you about one quick study. Dr. Gail Matthews at the Dominican University in California got 267 people from different parts of the world in different professions. The people who wrote down their goals every day were 42% more likely to reach them. Just saying, this stuff works. And the authors of Mental Toughness for Young Athletes, this is amazing. They're teaching young children to do this. And if young children can do it, you can do it. So we want to get involved in writing down our goals. How I do that is I have a to-do list. I have a planner sitting right here next to me. And on my planner, it says, record my yoga class. Videos. Record the yoga, record the 12-step videos, give blood, hence the little red thing, did that. Contact Kate about ASMBS. I have all these things written down. These are my goals. Then I can check them off. Makes me feel good. And when I check off goals and I'm proud of myself, then it gives me more inspiration to continue doing it. All right, 2 more. The next thing is to watch the pros. In the book Mental Toughness, the author says that for kids, they can increase their in-game skills. So while they're in the game, they can increase their skills just by watching their idols perform those same skills. And it's called the engraving technique. And I will tell you that one of my grandsons watches YouTube videos on batting techniques and pitching techniques. He also loves to fish, so he watches a lot of fishing videos. This is really a good skill for kids because they can engrave what they've seen, and of course, there's research to show how much better people perform when they've watched other people doing it. So you're learning by doing it. Professional athletes are using this technique all the time to achieve high-level goals. And in fact, in the book they say such a phenomenon that the Wall Street Journal wrote about the use of YouTube and how these athletes are crediting improvements to watching videos. And my grandsons are doing this continuously. Not to say that they're on videos all the time, but it's really a good way for them to practice their skills. All right, so you as a bariatric patient can have conversations with people and ask them to demonstrate what was the conversation you used to set boundaries with a loved one about food. You can find videos on YouTube about setting boundaries, about assertive communication. You can probably find videos about healthy shopping through the grocery store. I'm sure you can find videos about cleaning out your pantry and just leaving the healthy foods. Really, really, really critical. And one other important thing about goals is to share them with somebody who is on your team, who is supporting you, who's encouraging you. We've done many previous episodes on the podcast about goal setting. I would encourage you to go listen to those. The last skill that we're going to talk about is meditation. And I so love that the authors of this book for kids included this as a skill to teach young children, because meditation is so good for our bodies and our brains and our whole way of life for a lot of reasons. It calms us down. It gets us out of that high intensity stress, cortisol-filled life. Cortisol is a chemical in our brains. It causes all kinds of biological issues. So we can reduce pain, we can improve focus, we can reduce stress, we can clear our mind so we can do something more importantly. So if you visualize the setting of boundaries conversation with somebody and you do a meditation beforehand, you've gotten yourself calm, clear-minded, and you can go in and do this thing that you've rehearsed many, many times. Great things to add on to each other. So I'm not going to go into a great deal about this either because we're running out of time. And I will tell you that in the Bari Aftercare program, which is Bari Aftercare, B-A-R-I, aftercare.com, you can join this program. We do these things. We help you set yourself up for success as a long-term post-op. We do the meditation. We educate about setting boundaries. We give examples. We show demonstrations of healthy cooking. We show demonstrations of movement. We show demonstrations of involving the other people in your life. We have post-ops who've been successful for many years come on and educate and give encouragement every single day. It's an amazing program, and it's for people who want to make change, people who are serious about being long-term success and creating successful lifestyle beyond bariatrics, but to include bariatrics. So please check it out. You can't do all of these things at once. But what I would encourage you to do, here is an invitation for you. Pick one of these things, whether it be meditation, whether it be visualization, whether it be writing down your goals, any of the things we've talked about in this episode, and find a partner, whether it's somebody you live with, one of your kids, a best friend, somebody in the bariatric program, and say, let's this month write down our goals for the day, every single day. Next month, let's practice visualization. The month after that, let's do meditate. Whatever it is, do it with somebody and see the benefits of this, because we can't do it all at once. You're already busy trying to figure out the grams and the ounces and all the things. But you've got to put in the time. 5-minute exercises once a day. Not every day. We don't have to be perfect about it. But pick one of these things that you think this would really benefit me and give it a try. I have been so grateful for all the videos, not the videos, but the comments that I have been getting from people about how they're implementing what they're learning on this podcast. And I feel so much gratitude, because these are the people who are working it, who want to succeed. They're putting forth the time, they're putting in the time, and they are practicing these skills. So thank you so much, A, for your time, for listening to the podcast, B, for taking the time to comment and contact me. It means a whole lot to me, and I appreciate being a part of your journey. Remember, effort is the best indicator of interest, and also we're talking about your life. This is your life. It is your responsibility to do the work this day and every day. Thank you again for spending time with me, and we'll be back again next week with another great Bari Aftercare podcast episode. Bye-bye.